Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. Just a few weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to have Mike and Andrew from Qimage. These are the authors of Qimage Ultimate as well as Qimage One that is now available for Mac as well as Windows. Qimage One is a watered down version of Qimage Ultimate. It doesn't have all of the editing features that Ultimate has, but basically it is meant to be a full printing type program for all of your images, and it does some magical things. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute. Now, I learned something new during that live stream when Mike Cheney explained to us why you do not need the XPS driver for your Canon printers, although it is made available for you. Okay, and the way that works is basically you install your driver, your basic driver, and then you piggyback on top of that the XPS so-called driver. It's not really a driver, it just adds a different functionality to it. And what is that? Well, supposedly allows you to print in 16-bit. But the only operating system that really truly allows you to print in 16-bit is Mac OS, not Windows. So you may have, say, a 16-bit image that you exported out of your RAW file, and you think you're going to print in 16-bit using just the general driver. Well, no, you're not. You're going to need the XPS. Oh, Jose, you just told us you don't really need it, right? Yeah, actually what the XPS is doing, it is kind of faking it, okay? It's not really printing in 16-bit because as soon as you send that file over to the driver, it becomes 8-bit. What it is doing, it is simulating the effects of 16-bit printing. And Qimage does that on its own anyway. So there's no need to even have the XPS driver if you already own Qimage Ultimate. Now, if you do not, then sure, go ahead and install the XPS. Say you're printing out of Photoshop or some other application, not Qimage. You can go ahead and print through the XPS driver. Here's what it is actually doing that you may not realize. So take, for instance, a file. The files, image-wise, contain basically each channel, RGB and black, contain 255 shades. And that will be from 0, which is nothing, to 225, which is just the paper base. In other words, no detail to that value. What if you want to print something in between 125 and 126? Well, you cannot. It's either 125 shade or 126 shade. There is no in-between shade. That would only be available if you were truly printing in 16-bit. So let's call it 125.5. Well, in order to simulate that, you have to perform some dithering magic, and that is what that XPS driver does. Or if you don't even install it, like I do not, I never install XPS on any of my Canon printers because I already have Qimage Ultimate. Qimage Ultimate will simulate 16-bit printing. I mean, visually for you. It will print those in-between shades that officially cannot be printed using an 8-bit process. So all you Windows users out there, yeah, you can now print as if you were actually printing on a Mac, which allows you to use true 16-bit imaging sent to the printer, and the printer can take advantage of that. Not so on Windows. So for that, you need to have either the XPS driver or Qimage. If you own Qimage, then you do not need the XPS driver. You can print those in-between shades. And the way it does that is really best explained in video. But he showed us how Qimage by itself can simulate the in-between shade from 130 and 131, from 135 and 136. It will print and create artificially, but still visually true, 130.5 or 120.5. Okay, normally you have to jump from 120 to 121, 122, 123. Think of it as having a box of crayons with 255 shades. One of them is white, one of them is pure black, and you have in between 253 shades in between those two extremes. Well, what if I need a crayon in between two of those? You see, so that's what's happening when you print 16-bit, or at least in this case, simulated, perfectly simulated 16-bit printing. Okay, in most cases, let me tell you straight up, in most cases you will not see the difference printing outside of Qimage, basically using the regular driver. Okay, and of course compared to XPS, you really will not see. Only images that have very gradually changing tonal values, such as the sky, from the top zenith of the sky to the horizon, you may get some really weird banding if you do not have the ability to print in either a Mac, real 16-bit printing, or Windows, faked basically 16-bit printing. And the way you do that, of course, with a Canon printer is the XPS driver or Qimage. That'll take care of it for you. So, sorry, I don't have any visual representations for you to show you. You will not be able to see the difference here anyway. With regular video, you would have to actually sit in front of me or next to me, and we would look at the differences in images. But again, check out Qimage website for those videos, or go back to my live stream a few weeks ago when I had them here as guests, and you will be able to see that presentation. And again, he did it in a really neat form. He actually made pixels that were that big. Okay, so you could see the difference between the two tones and the one that's simulated in between. All right, thank you so much. If you have any questions, just ask below, and I'll try to find that video for you so that I can go ahead and link it to you, and you'll be able to see that particular explanation. I think it's on the very main part of the Qimage Ultimate website. All right, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Click that bell. Tell the bell to notify you. You have to do that. Okay, occasionally I do get a notification that somebody just subscribed. If you don't do that, I don't get notified, and then neither will you when I upload a new video. That's very important this day and age. All right, thank you so much. Happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.